Hey, welcome back. This is Dr. Chad Kish, and this is our PEP 417 and EDU 417P course lecture for Chapter 11, Integrating Academic Concepts into Physical Education. A couple major questions to ask when we start considering integrating different academic areas or core course information into our physical education and or health classes is, why do we need to integrate these concepts? Why can't we just teach movement skills? And then next, how do I actually integrate academics or core course material into physical education and through athletics? And then finally, how do I develop a mission statement or a process of actually doing this, integrating academics into physical education or integrating academic concepts, core course material, and character building into athletics? Well, here's our module objectives. So at the end of this module, we are going to be able to do these things. Discuss how to integrate core academic concepts into physical education. Let's get this out of the way. And health lessons. Develop strategies to provide lessons aligned with various core academic subject areas. Develop a mission statement to discuss a philosophy of integrating academics into physical education, and possibly develop a mission statement to discuss a philosophy of integrating character development and academic concepts into an athletic program. So that's kind of what we're going to do throughout this module. Here's our big ideas for today. First of all, what is even academic integration? This is how we take core course subject material and information and integrate that into our lessons in PE so we can both learn cognitively and our psychomotor and affective skills. Why is it important? It's important due to the fact that the state we're in with high stakes testing, physical education courses getting cut, the focus on core course and tested course areas, it's important to be able to show how physical education is aligned with our core courses and can enhance the learning in those core courses. How do I integrate academics into physical education? We'll discuss that throughout our lesson today. We can do things such as history or social studies. We can use science. We can use math. We can use a lot of different elementary strategic concepts, language acquisition. We'll show you a variety of ways to do that later today in the lecture. Then, what are athletic program outcomes? In a public school, athletic programs should focus on being a co-educational program where they enhance the learning in the overall school system. We like to say if you have a 7-hour school day, athletics or activities should be considered 8th hour. They should be well planned, have a good scope and sequence, and have some kind of outcome related areas that it's not just about learning to play that specific sport or winning a game. It's about the big picture outcomes such as developing character, developing soft skills, and improving academic success. And then we'll finish off by explaining our assignment, which helps us apply all of our learning today. It'll be developing a mission statement. The PEP students can do a athletic program mission statement, or if you choose, you can also do the one designed for the EDU students, which is developing an academic integration mission for a physical education or health class. So the PE students will have to do the one for class. The EDU students will need to do the one for a PE class, and the PEP students can choose between the two. All right, let's start today. What does it mean when we say integrating academic concepts into physical education? This means incorporating classroom concepts, things from the core course classes, into your physical education curriculum. How does this help the total learning process overall? A variety of ways. It helps reinforce various principles in a different setting. It might help us in science apply things such as force, resistance, a fulcrum, right? It could help refine or strengthen understanding. A student in math may not understand percentages, but when you start talking about batting averages or free throw shooting percentages, it helps them refine or strengthen understanding of a specific academic concept. And then it promotes the use of different academic concepts in physical education. When we talk about sociology, how does sociology between the genders in sports really play out? Is there a difference in pay scale in professional sports? Are there things we can discuss such as Title IX? What are our uniforms between the two sports? Is there actually equity? So we can use a variety of academic concepts, and this ties back into math, science, social studies, even language acquisition. If you think about language acquisition, when we are developing a workout plan in the strength training unit, do we understand what the different kinesiology terms mean? Do we understand what the different anatomical terms mean? We can really enhance a deeper level of language acquisition through physical education. All right, what are the facts? The facts are there's a positive relationship, which in statistics is called a correlation. That means that as one of your variables goes up, the other one also goes up. Or if your variable goes down, the results go down. So there's a positive relationship or correlation between physical activity and academic performance. The more physically active you are, usually the better your academic performance is. A report from the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, stated that there's a 52% positive, there's a 52% positive association between physical fitness and academic performance. And 99% of the respondents reported either positive or neutral correlation between physical activity and academic performance. So that means basically 52% of the time physical activity and academic performance correlated, they both increased. Or as physical activity increased, academic performance stayed neutral. Only 1% of the time did it decrease. So that's some of the facts according to CDC. So why should I integrate academics? It helps increase student activity levels in the classroom. When students are able to be active in a physical education class and they come back, there are a lot of students that have things such as ADD or just kids needing to move around to calm down or get the blood flowing. If you sit too long, it's really hard to concentrate. So when we increase activity levels in physical education, it helps students have a higher level of cognitive understanding in the classroom. It also has some accountability, right? Students that want to be involved in sports are held accountable due to eligibility constraints, all right? It also allows you to apply some of the classroom material into your PE. Third, classroom teachers, if you work systematically with them, they may also integrate some physical education into their general classroom lessons. If you know somebody struggling with math, this is where you can start talking about some of the trajectory or percentages, or let's talk about batting averages. And some students will get the math when you relate it to a sports-related skill. You also may be able to take that into science when we talk about different concepts such as friction or fulcrums, extension, flexion. Teachers can use that to talk about physical education, trajectory, right? Physical education teachers, for the most part, are team players. Not everybody in your school is going to be a team player, but most PE teachers have played team sports and are team players and realize if the whole school system and educational system is better, PE is also better. So they don't mind, like I said, being a team player. All right, and it builds goodwill. What does that mean? Some academic teachers will say, "Oh, you're only a PE teacher," or "Oh, you're just in the gym. You're a gym teacher." First of all, we don't teach gym. We don't teach a building in physical education. We teach students physical education, physical activity, healthy long-term skills, including soft skills and life skills. So by discussing this and building goodwill, integrating academics, we can show the classroom teachers that we actually teach in the classroom, and it helps us advocate for our physical education teaching profession, where positions are shrinking due to the major focus on the core courses. All right. Let's look at a couple different integration models. So how do we actually integrate this classroom material or core subjects or academic learning into physical activity or PE classes where we're trying to get students to move over 50% of the time? Well, that leaves us some time for cognitive learning, and it's not just learning the skills or rules of the game. It's learning different things and how you can apply things to life. So the three major integration models are individual, partner, or group collaboration. Individual is where the PE teacher researches the classroom material. You may look at the GLEs for specific subjects or your school's curriculum guide, or even discuss with a classroom teacher. If you're in elementary, you can discuss with each grade level. They usually have a pacing guide. If you're in high school, you can go to somebody in each core subject area, and then find the concepts that fit. How can you enhance the classroom learning through what you're doing? And you don't have to change what you're doing. You just have to find ways that it fits together and you can enhance it. Partner integration model is where you find a classroom partner and work together. All right. The first time you do this, you should really probably consider the individual method or the partner method. The partner method, think about elementary. Find a classroom teacher, start off with one grade level, and then move to multiple grade levels or all of them, right? And work together to ensure that you're matching with their curriculum. You can get ideas from them, right? So this is where you'll work with them, and hopefully they will take learning from PE, all right, and integrate it in the classroom. In the individual method, you'll still discuss it with partner teachers, but in the partner model, that's where you actually work together. You integrate academic learning, and then they circle back and use that to strengthen their teaching, all right? So that's more of a cycle. And in group collaboration, this is working with a full department, a grade level, or an entire school, and it's more like the partner level. You're working together in a big circle. You're enhancing their subject matter. They're using concepts from physical education to help students apply it to some real life settings. One of the group collaboration models I did when I worked at a school district was we did a school-wide at an Olympic year, all right? We used a school-wide system to use the Olympics as a instructional area to teach a variety of things. We were able to teach culture. We were able to use math concepts, geography concepts, all right? We taught different games, rules, and strategies that were used in more Olympic sports that aren't your traditional team sports. So that was a big idea for our group collaboration. So how can we start the process? First of all, decide on an integration model. You may just want to do the individual model until you get a little bit comfortable. Then move into the partner model. And then as that becomes successful is when you'll move on to your group collaboration model. Next, ask the teachers what concepts they're currently teaching in the classroom. Have some discussion, and then determine what fits and could be refined in PE, either now or in the future, right? So like I said, you don't have to redesign what you're doing in physical education. Just ask what fits, all right? And then ask about what concepts they're being taught, all right? How are you teaching these concepts? How in PE could I provide you with a concept to help enhance the learning in the classroom? Number 3, show classroom teachers what's being taught in physical education, possibly give them your calendar, your different activities, and say, hey, is there any way things you're teaching could fit in what we're doing here, right? Math could be a big one, so could science, right? And then actually start integrating your core subject material or your academics into your PE class, all right? And number 5, you always want to reflect, determine what worked, what didn't. You'll have some discussions back with your classroom teacher, refine the process, and then do it all over again and do it better, right? So that's the process of implementing a model of integration. So how do we do this? All right, there are a variety of ways. You can use numbers, right? So how do you integrate math? Use numbers and activities, count exercises. You can even do things such as numbers, odds, evens, multiples of 3, multiples of 4, right? So you can teach math just even doing your exercise. You could measure performance. How do you measure performance? That could be the distance of a jump. How far did somebody jump, left to right, front and back, right? How many times did it take them to jump 10 feet, all right? Next, you could determine averages, all right? Can we use an average? How many, if it took us 4 times to jump 10 feet, what is our average length of jump? We could also do this where we talk about batting averages or shooting percentages, all right? The next thing is we could use instructional cards. If you see here, we have an example of some instructional cards, 8 skips, 3 gallops, all right? You could use these cards, instructional cards, in a station of activities. You could teach different activities in different stations, have students move from station to station and be able to follow the card. You might have them roll the dice, and whatever the dice is, they have to do that many activities. You might have them roll a dice and then multiply it by the second dice, or add it or subtract it to see how many they have to do. You could measure the field. You could have them set up a field by giving them a map and have the class actually set up your bases or measure out a field to put out cones. This is how you could integrate some different mathematical concepts into physical activity, right? So make sure you're doing this journal activity right now. For each subject area we go through, I need you to write an activity and how you would integrate this subject into PE. So right now, take a clean sheet of paper out. I'm going to ask to see this in class, right? Put integration journal activity at the top. And then number 1 is math, right? Pause the video and write down a way, I gave you several examples, how you could integrate math into either a physical activity class, a health class, or an athletic setting. All right, go ahead and do that for math. Pause the video, and once you have that written down in your journal, you'll place this journal activity in your portfolio and bring it to class next time. Move on to the next subject. Subject number 2 we can discuss is language arts, all right? We can make some letters, such as spelling words. We can either spell them out as a group of people on the floor or standing or with fingers, all right? We can teach sign language at this part, all right? Or we can have them cut them out to put on a bulletin board. Next, physical education in sports has some specific terminology, right? We can teach that terminology and use higher level or higher order words that students probably wouldn't be using in the classroom at that time yet, or they might be, right? So we can talk about things such as alternate. What is the concept of alternate? What does that mean? Where's the forearm? Show me the forearm. And then we can talk about an overhand. What's an overhand? So we can talk about alternate between a forearm pass and an overhand pass. Work by yourself or work with your partner. All right. So overhead pass to yourself and catch it. Practice this skill. Make 2 passes before catching the ball. Practice this skill. All right. This is with the volleyball. And then alternate and catch it and practice the skill. You could have them read this out loud and then be able to do the skill, and that promotes and shows understanding of that specific terminology. Sports is an area where we use a variety of different terms. Different sports have different terms. Even our field, what's the baseline? Is it the center line? Is it center court? Is it the 50-yard line? Is it a sideline? Is a side, if a player goes out of bounds, is that out of bounds, or does the ball go out of bounds and that's out of bounds? All right. What's a foul? That could mean a lot of different things. All right. What's a penalty shot? What's a violation? And then we can really use our terms, such as our kinesiology terms and our anatomy and physiology terms, to enhance language arts skills. So in your journal, write down number 2 for your subject, language arts, and write yourself down a way that you could enhance language arts through either a physical education lesson or within a lesson, a health lesson, or some language arts skills you could teach your team in athletics. Pause the video and do that in your portfolio. Let's move on to our next subject. Our next subject is science. How can we integrate science into physical education activity? We can talk about various plants and animals. In elementary, remember, you can do a variety of animal walks. You can do a bear walk. You can hop like a frog. You can flap your arms like a bird, right? You can stand tall like a tree. You can wave like amber waves of grain, all right? So you can teach plants and animals throughout some of your elementary classes, as well as you can talk about them in your high school classes. Next, there's a variety of specific terminology that's specific to science. All right, if you look at the picture here on the screen, we can teach things such as resistance, force, where the fulcrum is, all right? And then explain how this works with the body, right? If we're doing a pull down, right, we're going to have the resistance with our hand, the force of our tricep, right? And then the fulcrum is our elbow here, right? That's a first class lever, talking about a lever system. Next, if we change where the force and the fulcrum is, and now the resistance is in the middle, we're looking at a second class lever. So think about it. The resistance is here in our ankle, our force is coming from our calf, and the fulcrum is underneath our toes. When we do a toe raise, say we're shooting a basketball and we come up on our toes, all right, that's a second class lever. And then if we change the resistance to be and force to be on the same side of the fulcrum, that'd be a third class lever. All right, so think of it, the resistance is a dumbbell. If we're going to do a dumbbell curl, the force comes from our bicep, which is in front of the fulcrum, which is our elbow. So we can use different ways to talk about specific terminology. A lot of times when you're throwing, you talk about trajectory and length and distance and targeting, all right? So there are a lot of terms we can use: speed, resistance, friction, right? A soccer ball travels a lot differently in indoor soccer on either turf or a gym floor than it does outside in the grass, right? So take out your journal activity, put number 3, science, and write down a way that you could integrate science into either your physical education or health class or into your sports program, and you could discuss some science concepts. So go ahead and pause the video and write that section of your journal activity for your portfolio. All right, how do we integrate a couple other subjects? Social studies is a big one, all right? In social studies, we can talk about games or activities from various countries. We can really talk about internationally. And then when we do that, we can look at the geography on the map to see where the country is even located. We can study the origins of words or activities. Do they come from Italian or Greek? All right, a lot of sports words come from Greek dating back to the Olympic Games. We can adapt present day activities and discuss historically how these sports or games have changed over time, how they currently are, and then discuss what some possible changes could be made. Could this be due to safety to reduce concussions? Right? And then we can compare how games and sports are played in various cultures, as well as the importance of games and sports in different cultures. All right. So you can discuss things such as, even if we're only discussing in the United States, there's a category of games that some people would refer to as country club sports. This would be golf, tennis, polo, water polo, possibly swimming and diving. All right. How does that compare between an urban culture, a suburban culture, and a rural culture? Where are they most popular? Probably in the suburban culture because they have more money to be able to play these games. Higher socioeconomic classes usually have more ability to participate in these country club type sports. What are some gender specific issues in sports? So there's a variety of things in social studies that we can talk about. What are the impacts of the Olympics on a country of hosting them? Those have a lot of positives as well as a lot of negatives. That's an interesting one to dig into. So go ahead and write down the next subject of social studies, pause the video, and write how you could integrate social studies into either your PE or health class or into your athletic program. All right, now that we've come back from writing down social studies, this one should be pretty easy for us because we've been trained on this. But we need to remember, all right, our NASP standard number 3, make sure we're integrating health-related fitness all the time into our physical activity programs in physical education. We can talk about things such as nutrition, physical activity patterns. We can do a intake and output log. We can talk about the My Plate eating plan. We can talk about what a variety of healthy lifestyle activities and how to integrate lifetime sports and activities into our activity patterns as we're kids, right? There's some things we'll do as we grow up and become adults and move along the lifespan that we didn't do as high school age students. There are some activities we won't be able to do anymore after high school, or we'll have to do them differently. All right. So next, for your journal, pause the video and write down 2 ways of how you could integrate some kind of health or health-related fitness into your PE program or into your athletic program. All right, let's move on now that we've finished our journal activity. We've had a long discussion on integrating academic concepts or core course materials into our physical activity, physical education program. Let's spend a little bit of time discussing how we integrate core course areas or character building or developing soft skills to ensure that our athletic program is co-educational in nature. So we want to discuss integrating things in athletics that are more than just teaching people how to play the sport to possibly win the game. So first of all, let's think about it for a minute. Why do we have athletic programs in public schools? First of all, the United States is one of few countries that do this. Most countries separate athletics and academics. When I recruited college athletes, most other countries, they don't play for their school, they play for a local club team. Sort of like going to a YMCA. Think about when you were in elementary, you might play for the Parks and Recreation program in your city, right? That's really how most other countries have athletics. They're not tied into school programs. So why do we do it differently? Right? Think about that a little bit. Then should funding for athletics be used for academics instead? Right? A lot of people think so. Our public schools get money. Why are we going to take a portion of the funding that we should be used to teach to fund athletic or activity programs? Well, I believe, and I did my doctoral dissertation, a big research paper on this, that participation in athletics or even activity programs in schools helps or has a positive correlation with academic success. It helps students consider coming to school even when they don't feel good so they can go to practice or a game. So it helps increase attendance, right? It usually helps academic performance because students are tied to some eligibility standards, right? And then it usually has a negative correlation with discipline. If you're in trouble, you get suspended from school, you can't play in the game. So kids try to have better behavior. So actually, funding put into athletics is probably dollar for dollar the best at-risk program a school district can have to ensure that students persist to graduation, right? But this is only done or enhanced, actually, if coaches actually teach and have a tie to the overall school program systematically through athletics. So let's talk about it for a minute. How do athletics benefit the overall educational mission? All right. Athletics are usually designed or tied to schools in America because athletics tend to help students develop skills and give them a setting to apply them. First of all, think about a team sport. There's a lot of communication and teamwork that goes on. In football, there's a huddle. In basketball, the point guard might call out something. In baseball or softball, the catcher is going to call a pitch for the pitcher. The catcher might also give some signals to the field how we recover a bunt. All right. In individual sports, there's usually at least communication between the coach and the participant, as well as individual sports do have some kind of team scoring. So there's generally some communication and motivation between teammates. It helps us also, number 2 here, give an opportunity to develop positive character traits. A lot of people call these soft skills. Is it the benefit of hard work? Is it how to overcome adversity? Is it how to learn from both success and defeat? Is it persevering towards a goal? Is it goal setting? All right. So it gives us some positive character traits. We teach sportsmanship and integrity. Right? Integrity could be just following rules. You're going to have rules, standards, and guidelines in your career that you need to follow, and it's important for you to do this effectively. Sportsmanship also goes into our community-based culture. Each community wants to have a positive view through athletics, and it helps your community standings and optics when you have good sportsmanship and integrity on your team. Winning's another thing that also goes into that, a success factor. Another thing, athletics has accountability. If you don't come to school, you can't practice. If you don't practice, you can't play. Most people want to play in the games. There's eligibility standards. People are going to have to go to study hall, then they miss practice, then they miss the game. Plus, students have to be eligible both the semester before and during the semester they compete at the school level. So there's some accountability standards, as well as think about school discipline. Right? If you're in trouble, you're probably not going to get to practice or play in the game. If you're suspended, you're out. And then it builds a positive connection to school. It helps improve the educational climate. It builds school pride, and it gives us a sense for building relationships within the community. Right, when I was working in the public school system, in schools that had football, the behavior on Monday seemed to be led by if your football team won on Friday or Saturday. Right, there were a lot less problems if your team was successful in the game before. Right, So there's definitely a sense of athletics developing students. All right. If we're planning to integrate education into athletics, it takes some kind of systematic thought process, and you actually have to do it. You can't just say, we're going to have good sportsmanship. Why? Because I expect it, and that's what we're doing. No, you have to systematically teach it. You have to explain what it is. You have to provide an opportunity to apply it, such as through possibly role playing. So how would you integrate education and athletics? Here's the steps I would do to plan it. First of all, find your school's education mission. You can usually find that on the website. What's the school's mission statement, vision, and values? Determine how you can tie athletics to that mission. You can generally just cut and paste that into a document and then massage that to fit athletics instead of your regular core subjects. A lot of those things tie directly together and can be aligned. All right, I've done this process as an athletic director, developing an athletic mission statement. Number 3, develop some program values that are associated with that mission. These are things within your philosophy that you value, all right? Do you value communication, teamwork, integrity, working within the team concept, understanding your role? What are those program values? Number 4, integrate these values into daily activities. You're going to practice and teach the skills required for your sport, but do you have some activities to teach some of these program values? Do you have any team building activities, any role playing? Do we discuss some different things? Do we think about the affective domain? That's number 4. Number 5, do we focus on the values over winning? Right? A lot of times you can take winning out of your vocabulary and talk about success. Right? In the public school system, although at some places winning is viewed pretty critical, teaching the values is what you should be working on, because you're a teacher first and a coach second at the public school level. Once you get into the college level and professional level, that might flip quite a bit. And then just like we do in anything, number 6, we want to reflect on the process after we've done it, figure out how we could do it better. That means refine it, and then start all over and try it again. All right, with a systematic, refined plan to do it all over again, and then we should really get better year to year. So how do we actually do some of this stuff? In sportsmanship, we want to teach that, have some kind of character building drills. We'll go over a lot of this in the coaching unit, but one way is, if you want to teach sportsmanship, you could do some role playing on how you react to a negative situation in the game. You think the referee makes a bad call, do you run at the official, or do you turn and walk away and go talk to your teammates and coach and get ready to make the next play? All right. Communication. How do we teach communication? We need to allow opportunities for students' communication. Do we have a closed practice session that we let some students coach, or some of the players coach their own team? Do we have captains lead a practice or game situation? Do we allow our players to give a pregame or postgame speech? Do we allow our participants to discuss with the coaches what's working and what isn't? So we need to provide some open and honest communication opportunities for our students. Do we allow the captains, the seniors, to speak to the team before senior night? All right. Next is accountability. All right. Do we have study hall for struggling learners? Do people that show up late to practice have to go in the game late? All right. How do we have some accountability measures within our program? All right. And then number 4, there's always an opportunity for community building. Can we build pride in our program? Do we have a captain's training? Is there a letterman's activity? Can you earn through community service or doing certain things some extra gear or pride wear? Do we have the seniors prepare the field for the game instead of having the rookies bring out the water to the field, or the freshmen? How do we build pride in the program by having our star players and our captains assume leadership positions? Do we do community service projects? Right. One way I've done this before is do a big leaf rake. Right. You can have your students, your teams get together, rake leaves of the houses right around school, because, they get trash in their yard all the time and they put up with a lot of traffic and people walking through their yard on game night or before and after school. And then as you're raking the leaves, hang a schedule for your upcoming games on their door. And believe it or not, this is one of the community service projects that we really built a better connection with a variety of school districts I've worked at in the past. All right, so what does some of this look like? I talked about a mission statement, right? An athletic department vision statement and a mission statement might look like some of these, right? So let's think of a vision statement. The department will provide opportunities for all participants to learn and encourage them to become lifelong contributors to the success of the activities in which they participate, the educational environment, the community, and society as a whole. Now, what did I do? I actually used this in one I developed for a school, but the school's vision statement basically said the blank school will provide opportunities, and instead of activities in the success of the school or themselves. All right. So we just molded this from the school's vision statement. Here's an example of a mission statement. Education-based athletic and activity programs will provide an opportunity to empower participants to achieve their potential by cultivating a love of learning and competing in an environment of respect, accountability, responsibility, sportsmanship, and fair play. So our mission statement talks about all the things we're going to teach. These would be considered key elements or core values. And if your mission statement is written well, your core values will usually be in here, right? We want to provide an opportunity to empower participants, right? Develop a love of learning, teach respect, accountability, responsibility, sportsmanship, ethics, and fair play, all right? If we do this, those could just be listed core values. And then if we do that, when we have our core values listed, it's just like building curriculum. We have to have a way we're systematically going to teach that through our athletic programs, all right? How do we empower students, right? How do we teach accountability? How do we teach sportsmanship, all right? So we need to just have a plan to teach that, all right? Next, let's talk about our assignment. So our assignment to help apply all of this material and show that we understand it, we want to construct a 4-paragraph personal mission statement, and you're going to use the bullets for each one as a subheading. So I want a paragraph on each one, and so your topic 1 is introduction, and then you'll write a paragraph. And then next would be 3 examples. So let me go through this. This is going to be different for each class. Our teachers, or EDU 417 students, need to do the first one in red. So this is an academic integration mission statement as the academic integration into physical education. So you're going to have topic 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? 1 is an introduction. Why is it important to tie academics into PE? What are your beliefs and values? Number 2, provide 3 examples of how you will integrate academics into PE. All right. Number 3 is how will you actually strive to do it and implement it? Where are you going to put it in different lessons? How are you going to refine this? And then number 4, have a conclusion, about a 3 to 4 sentence wrap up, explaining another reason why it's important and a variety of different ways you can do it and how you strive, maybe even what method you're going to do. If you go back in implementation, remember, go back through the video and look at the slide. I'm trying to pull it up. What integration model are you going to use? Make sure you mention that somewhere in your paper. All right. So the PEP students can choose. They can either do the one up here in red, or they can choose to do the mission statement for athletics and how we're going to tie it to education and skill building. Here's the bullet points too, and these are our headings for each of our paragraphs. First of all, introductions. Why are athletics important in an educational setting? Why do you believe we do that here in America? Other countries don't. Next, provide 3 examples for athletics. How could you integrate some educational concepts into it? Implementation. Once again, what's our method? How are we going to do it? And then how are you going to continue to strive to do this and why it's important? And then provide a conclusion, what a mission, a vision, a values really are for athletics and why it's important to have some advanced learning or academic integration into athletics. Have a good wrap up, right? So here's a little bit more information when we're writing our mission statement. Complete this assignment in a Word document and save it, all right? So do whatever you do. You might use a Google document, but export it into Word and save that. You should keep this because you can use it in some other places across your educational career. So print a copy and place it in your portfolio when you get done, all right? Make sure you have it well written, correct. Use college level writing. Save that, print a copy, place it in your portfolio, right? You'll also place it in your professional portfolio. If you've had EDU 410 or your wellness internship, you would have probably already done this professional portfolio, but if you hadn't had those classes, you're going to be required to put together a professional portfolio, and this is an excellent assignment to use there. So you'll see that, save this and keep it for that class. All right, next, submit the assignment to Canvas. So you can either submit your Word document or a PDF document. If you use another type of document, you can't submit that, you'll have to convert it. Or you can copy and paste the text from your document, all right, and then paste it into the assignment box in Canvas. So see the deadline and make sure you get that submitted on time. All right, you'll have a few days to work on this, but you need to get work on it pretty quick. Here's some other basic assignment information. It's important to use college level writing, all right? You need to use the 4-paragraph outline, put your section, what the title is, and then provide a well-written paragraph. Remember, a paragraph is 3 to 5 or 6 sentences. It's not 1 or 2 sentences. Use personal writing to describe your beliefs, values, and personal ideas on the topic. You probably could look back at the journal assignments that you did while you were watching this video, and that could help you write this paper, right? And this must be original work. Don't copy from the textbook or web. This assignment has a specific outline, and you're supposed to develop this on your own. You really don't need to do a lot of research besides reading the textbook and watching this video. All right, so here's today's wrap up. Why is integrating academics into PE program important? All right, think about that a little bit. You might even want to write that down in your notes. Why is it important? All right, what are some examples of academic integration into PE and health? That would have been the things I asked you to write down in your journal activity for your portfolio. Those would be some specific examples. All right, and then what are examples of academic integration into athletics? How can you actually do this? All right, so think about that a little bit. Even if you're going to be a PE teacher, you're more than likely going to coach. So you might want to write both of these mission statements, even though it sounds like an extra assignment, and have them for use in your professional portfolio when you try to interview for a coaching job in the future, right? So let me show you real quick. I think I have it pulled up. Here is on Canvas. Go to our module, all right? Go to our current module and make sure you look at the mission statement, academic integration, and there's an assignment handout. Download this, click on this hyperlink. It's a Word doc. Read over that before you really get going, and that'll give you a lot more detail of this assignment. So here's a description of the activity. You're going to use the textbook reading from Chapter 11, Integrating Academic Concepts into Physical Education, page 206 to 230 of our Pengrazi and Beagle textbook. All right, if you haven't read that chapter, you should read the chapter before you come back and work on this assignment. All right, then you're going to use the information from this video lecture, our previous classroom discussions, all right, anything you might have thought about in your journal or portfolio today, and develop this mission statement related to either physical education and health or athletics. All right. Here's the background for the EDU 417 students. Here's the information for the PEP 417 students. All right. The specific outline for EDU 417 with some bullet points to help you understand what goes in each paragraph. And then the specific outline for PEP 417 or our athletic version of the mission statement. All right, remember PEP 417 students can do either or. All right, and then here's some other additional assignment instructions I went over, and then how you'll be assessed. The assignment's worth 35 points, and there is a attached rubric here that shows you each critical component or criteria that you'll be graded on. All right. So here's your to-do list. First of all, you probably haven't done this yet, but read chapter 11. All right, you may not have to read it word for word, but very heavily skim it. Read some important different points. If you're going to be a PE teacher, I would read this and truly understand how you can integrate academic concepts and core course subject area into your teaching. All right. Number 2, complete your mission statement assignment. All right. Make sure you do the correct one. Submit it to Canvas and print it and put it in your portfolio. And then next, I put out a class announcement, but make sure you update your portfolio for review, where you got a date that we're going to review it, and make sure you have your observation hour log, your updated log in your portfolio, because next time we meet in class, I'm going to look at all of this and provide some credit for having your portfolio updated and your observation hours where you need to be. Right? So that is our information on integrating academics and developing a statement, mission statement to show how we'll integrate either core courses or academics into physical education and health, or how we would integrate soft skills and character building into an athletic program. If you have any questions, make sure you send me an email, or we'll discuss it in class next time. Get to work on these assignments, and we will see you in class next time.